Alright, what's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoop. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite picks from the second round of the NBA draft. I spent a lot of time on the first round of the draft grading every first round pick. You know, if you missed that, you can go back and watch that video. It was a live stream that I did. But I didn't really talk about the second round, but I do feel like there's a couple second round picks in here that I think can make very good impacts to be really good players in the league. We're going to talk about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, there's a video on my channel explaining all of it. You can go back and watch that. Links to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that, description down below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the first second round pick I want to talk about is Kyle Filipowski. He was the 32nd overall pick in the draft, going to the Utah Jazz out of Duke. Filipowski was a guy that I feel like was consensus a first round pick. On my big board, I think he was about the 18th player. On my big board, I had him mocked going in the 20s in the first round, and he eventually falls down to number 32 and gets picked up by the Utah Jazz, which I think is a really good move for the Jazz. The Jazz were in a good position where an early second round pick, they can get someone that fell out of the first round that could still have some talent, and Kyle Filipowski has that. He's a skilled big man. He's a guy that can shoot the ball really well, okay, put the ball on the floor, create for himself, create for others. Really solid offensive big man, you know. He fell in the draft. I feel like I saw some things and stuff. I think one of the reasons probably was how he's kind of one of those players that doesn't really have one skill that sticks out above everything else. He doesn't have really one trait or one skill that's like, all right, we can bank on. Like, it's not like he's an elite shooter or he's an elite rebounder or an elite playmaker, elite. Like, he doesn't have one thing. He's good at a lot of different things, but he's not elite at one. So teams kind of were just questioning how well he's going to translate to the league. And there's also some other non-basketball related stuff that I'm not going to talk about that was surfacing around that maybe there's a reason why he fell, which is a really odd reason, but whatever. And he falls to the Utah Jazz, which I just think is a really good move. You know, for the Jazz, it's a position where kind of similar to what I talked about when they picked Isaiah Coley at 29. It was like they're in a good position where 29, 32nd pick, they can go get guys that maybe fell on in the draft because, you know, it's inevitable that some people are going to fall in the draft. And they could just be like, you know what? Why not just pick them up? They have potential. They were supposed to be this round, this pick, and supposed to be a top 20 player and stuff. They fell already 32. It's good value for us. Let's take it, you know. And Filipowski could be with a team that I think he can kind of thrive with. The Jazz are a team led by Will Hardy that, you know, it plays team basketball, a lot of movement, a lot of cutting, a lot of passing the ball around and stuff. I think Filipowski can work with that. Filipowski's a guy, again, he's a big that is very skilled. He can make the good pass. He can stretch the floor out. He can do all those different things, you know. And if he's going to be a 4 or 5, he's surrounded by a lot of other bigs as well. And Walker Kessler, Larry Markin, and Taylor Hendricks is there for year 2. So, I mean, they have some good players over there with Utah as well. I think it's a really good system for him. And I think he's really going to be able to potentially find a way in the NBA with the Utah Jazz. So I think it's just a really solid pick by them. Next, we have the 34th pick, Tyler Kolek on a Marquette gets selected. This pick eventually ends up with the New York Knicks. Kolek was a guy that I feel like a lot of people potentially had as a Knick, but in the first round, the Knicks had their 2 first-round picks at 24 and 25. But of course, the Knicks only kept one of those picks, traded the other pick, and they traded into the second round and got Tyler Kolek out of Marquette, which I think is a really good move for the Knicks. Kolek is a guy, he's a 4-year player at Marquette. He's already 23 years old. He's very seasoned already. So he's going to come into a Knicks team that already is building and looking to win. And he's going to come in and fit that right away. A guy that you don't have to wait and sit around and develop for another year or 2 before he can play. He can come right in and play. And just give solid backup point guard minutes. He's not going to be in a role where he's going to play every game or if he plays much really in the first season. But if he is put in that position, he could be a very solid backup point guard. He's a really good playmaker, makes the right play. You know, he's going to be able to get to the rim and finish. Very decent catch and shoot player. And defensively, he's going to compete. And I think he really fits into the Knicks culture of the hardworking type of presence that he has. I feel like he's really going to fit into the Knicks culture. And I think that's an amazing pick by the Knicks at 34. Getting a guy that I mocked or I projected to be a very late first-round pick, maybe early second-round pick, and that's why he ended up as an early second-round pick. I think he really fit into the Knicks culture, and the Knicks definitely, I mean, who doesn't want some good backup point guard play? When Jalen Brunson has to sit for a little while or whatever, Cole could come in and control the offense. I think that's a big piece for the Knicks to get in the draft. Next, we have the 40th pick, Oso Ighodaro, also Marquette boy, going to the Phoenix Suns at 40. I think this pick, the Suns traded up to get this pick at number 40. I think it's a very solid move for the Suns. The Suns, after Yusuf Nurkic, don't really have big men. Bol was all right, but, wasn't the greatest thing to have. Drew Eubanks was solid, but he might leave in this free agency. So going to pick up a guy in Oso Guidaro, another seasoned experienced guy. I think he's already 20, 21 years old, a 2 or 3 year player on Marquette. He's a big that I think can contribute to the Suns. He's a really good playmaking and passing guy for a big man. Really good at handling the ball, controlling the ball, making plays for others. You could put him maybe in pick and roll on handoffs and stuff, especially with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. You can make him with handoffs. I think it'll be really nice. He's very athletic and vertical. I mean, versatile as well is what I meant to say. Defensively, he's not the biggest center. I think he's only like 6'9", 6'10", and he's not really super strong yet. But a very versatile defender that can move his feet, can block some shots, get in the passing lanes and stuff. And I think having a big like that is going to be really helpful for the Phoenix Suns, especially when Nurkic is not having his great games. You can put Oso in. He can space. We don't know about his floor spacing ability yet. He didn't really shoot the ball a lot last year on Marquette, but he could be a versatile big that you can switch on maybe to the perimeter. You could switch everything if they want, and a guy again that you can handle the ball with Nurkic, who also likes to do a lot of handoffs and makes good passes. Iguodala can come in and do the same thing, so your offense won't have to change significantly when Nurkic is off the court. So I think this is a very solid pick for the Phoenix Suns, who I can think needed some backup big man play. Next, we have number 48. Harrison Ingram from North Carolina gets selected by the San Antonio Spurs. I think this is a very solid move. Ingram is another experienced guy, been around in college basketball, ended up at North Carolina, had a really solid year last year at the three, and I think he's got some really good 3-and-D wing role player type traits. And I think for the Spurs to get him at 48, I think I had him mocked around around the early 40s, maybe late 30s. To get him at 48, I think this is an amazing move for the Spurs. I think he could really fit into that system. He's just a really high IQ basketball player. He's a really good playmaker and passer for the wing position. He competes. He likes to get in on the glass. Really good defensively. Has some good defensive tools. Potentially being very versatile. Has a very solid 3-point shot. He had a really good shooting year last year in North Carolina. I don't know how real that is, but you can see, it is there. And I think him landing with the Spurs was an amazing move. And honestly, he could be a guy that sticks around for a little while in San Antonio. I think he's a guy that can fit into the culture over there. He's can fit into the mold of a Spurs type player. I think he fits that mold. So I think this is an amazing pickup for the Spurs, getting a guy like Harrison Ingram at 48. And the final second round pick I want to talk about, Kevin McCullough Jr., the 56th overall pick. This pick eventually ended up with the New York Knicks. I say it every time I talk about him, but if you ever watch my draft videos, I'm a big Kevin McCullough fan. I'm a big Kevin McCullough guy. I'm high on him. I think he could really work out in the NBA. And I think in my big board, I had him as 28th player. To get him at 56 is an amazing get by the New York Knicks. And I love this for the New York Knicks because he is a Knicks player. He fits that Knicks mold. He's got like some Bruce Brown, Josh Hart type of game to him. I think he's really going to fit in with the New York Knicks. He fell because he did have an injury-plagued season last year at Kansas. Even though he had a really good offensive year, he didn't play a lot. He missed the NCAA tournament at the end of the season because of injury, so that probably is a reason why he fell, and he's already 22, 23 years old. But I think this is an amazing get by the New York Knicks. I think he's going to be a really good role player, elite role player traits. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He doesn't really need the ball in his hands. He can play off the ball as a catch and shoot player and cutting and stuff. He can be a connector on the offensive end, making good passes, being a ball handler if you need him to. Defensively, he's going to lock in. He's a really good defender with really good length as well. He's just an ultimate kind of glue guy. Whatever you need me to do, I can do it type of player. And with the New York Knicks especially, with playoff teams like that, guys like that are super valuable. And already being in that culture with guys like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo and Mikal Bridges and stuff that have that type of game and do that type of stuff, with Tom Thibodeau, who rewards feel like players that do that type of stuff. I feel like this is a perfect fit. This is a perfect situation for Kevin McCullough to come in. He's not gonna have a big role right away, but when they need him to, if injuries happen potentially, which hopefully not, he can come in and he can fill a role. And I think Knicks fans are gonna love Kevin McCullough. I'm high on Kevin McCullough. I think he's going to be a very impactful player in the NBA in terms of impacting the winning. And I think getting him at 56, if you're the Knicks, we can look back on in a couple years and be like, dang, the Knicks got him too. How did the Knicks get Kevin McCullough? He could be that type of player, and I'm very excited for that selection. Yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.